I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss.
What's good, y'all? It's your big homie, the armchair operator, and today I got a first shots, first impressions video for y'all. Now, this particular gun, I've had my eye on it for a little while, and I finally picked it up just recently, and today we're going to talk about it. And today we're going to talk about the Smith Wesson M&P 2.0 competitor. First of all, that's a long name. Let's try saying that 10 times fast in a row, right? But anyway, before we get into the first shots video, first, need to do two things. First thing is, I gotta give a huge shout out to the Bunker Gun Shop. I actually recently picked this gun up from them. They also have a lot of other great inventory to choose from. They also have more Smith & Wesson M&P metal frame competitors in case you might want to grab one, and tons of other good stuff. So I'm going to put a link to their website in the details section of this video, so y'all can definitely check them out. They got 2 locations serving the greater Philadelphia area, and they do ship to out-of-state FFL. So give them a call, check them out. If they don't have it for you, I guarantee they can get it for you. The second thing is, I want to give a huge shout out to the Guardian Training Center. I do a lot of my range content up there at their facility, and most indoor ranges don't allow for the recording and stuff like that. So I just want to give my due respect to them. Thank them for helping me to set up and grow this channel. So I'm gonna put a link to their site also in the details section of this video. You can check them out. They have a lot of great training classes there, you know, all different kinds of stuff between, you know, personal protection, courses of fire, stop the bleed, all different kinds of stuff. So definitely check them out. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to take you over to the tabletop. We're going to talk about the gun real fast. We're going to talk about its feature set. And actually, another thing I'm going to do is I have the standard M&P 2.0 metal frame, which, by the way, I reviewed on the channel not all that long ago. So if you have not checked that video out, definitely go over there and check the video. I did a full review on that. But I'm also just going to do a quick comparison just to kind of show you all the differences between the standard M&P 2.0 metal frame and the 2.0 metal frame competitor. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it. All right, y'all, here we are. We have the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 metal frame competitor. And as you can see, it comes in a very big box. This case is actually the exact same size and case as that of their 8 3/8 inch 500 Magnum, just to give you an idea of just how big this case is. So really nice case from Smith & Wesson. Of course, we got our hole here where we can lock it with a padlock. It's a hard case, so you can definitely travel with this thing if you so choose, which would make sense since this gun is actually primarily aimed towards the competition market. So, but we're not here to look at the case. We're here to look at what's inside the case. So let's open this big rascal up and let's see what we have in here. Here we go. Here we go. The main attraction. First things first. Check and make sure that this firearm is indeed clear. As you can see here, magazine is empty, chamber is empty. And as always, this video is being filmed in a safe and controlled environment. There is no live ammunition anywhere in the review space. All right, so let's get down to it. The gun comes with 4 17-round magazines. We actually have 1 in the gun. We have 2 over here. And I actually have another 17-round magazine, which is actually in the other room in my safe, because that magazine is in fact loaded. But it does come with 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to start where I typically like to start. We're going to talk about the features of the gun. And to do that, we got to start from the top. And starting from the top, we have the sights. So the sighting setup on this gun is actually pretty unique in my experience. What we have here, we have a tritium filled front fiber optic front sight, as you can see here, and we have a blacked out rear sight. So as always, let me see if I can give you an idea of the sight picture. So that's pretty much what it will look like. And because it has the tritium in the front, that also means that it is a night sight. So this is actually really good. Really good sights, metal sights. And we're going to move on down to the slide here. So as you can see, we have some holes cut and milled in the top of the slide here. Basically, that's just to reduce the reciprocating mass of the slide. They call them lightning cuts. That's essentially what that is. Also on the sides here, we have some lightning cuts on the side here to reduce the reciprocating mass. And we also have some very aggressive cocking serrations. So it's actually a little bit different than Smith Wesson standard fish scale serrations. These are actually more aggressive, which is really good. They're grippier than the standard M&P metal frame and even the standard M 2.0 slide serrations. And I'll actually give you a comparison of that in a minute after we finish going through the features. So here's that. The other thing that I like, so I don't know if you could tell, but it's inset a bit on the slide here. Like it's tapered in this particular portion here, and it's tapered in here, and it's also tapered in the back. Like they have these little ledges back here, so you can really, you know, grab it and rack that slide back. So that's really good. If you're familiar with the 10mm Performance Center version, it has a similar setup, particularly in the rear, where you have these ledges. So that's really cool. We have this port here, which is essentially your loaded chamber indicator. And of course, we had, this gun is optics ready. This is the cover plate. So like its predecessor, the standard M 2.0 metal frame, it does come with optics mounting plates from the factory, which is really good. So this gun is truly optics ready. We also have a 3-position Picatinny rail up front. We have your takedown lever here, which has a little bit of texture here. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. We also have our ambidextrous slide catch / slide release. So that's really good there. Also, let's just take a look at the butler cut here in the front. Very Terran Tactical Pit Viper vibes. So I really like that look. I really like that. And it also feels good to have a, you know, kind of a budget style Terran Tactical-esque gun. I mean, not really, but it just kind of looks like one. And I really like the look of this gun. That's the reason why I said it. I really like the look of the Pit Viper and the Sand Viper. And I really like the look of this particular gun here. So let's keep going, shall we? We have our new school style M&P style trigger. I'm gonna ghost that trigger real quick. So this is your take up here, and a little bit more, and it breaks. And let's check that reset. That's the reset. Break. And the reset. Now, one thing I've noticed about the M 2.0 metal frame series is that the trigger reset takes a little bit of getting used to. It's kind of soft. It's not as the reset itself is not as, I would say, tactile as maybe some other triggers, even some other Smith & Wesson triggers, such as the Shield Plus and the 10mm versions. But it's good, and trust me when I say you can run this gun really, really fast. I mean, even us regular guys can run it really, really fast. So there is that. And of course, you know, we have a nice little polymer insert for trigger over travel here. You know, standard trigger guard. Now, let's talk about the magazine release. So out of the box, the M 2.0, the competitor, comes with an extended magazine release. The extended magazine release is a good magazine release. Here's the thing about that. So if you're a righty and you want to shoot offhand, or let's just say you're a left-handed shooter, the extended magazine release will get in the way if you have larger hands. So if I was using the gun with my dominant hand, which is my right hand, I didn't really have any problems. But the minute I went to shoot offhand or hold it offhand, whatever the case may be, that magazine release kind of just butted up against my knuckle really bad right here. So I just took that magazine release off and put the standard one on. The good thing about the competitor is that you have the option from Smith Wesson, you have the option to put the standard magazine release on the gun. They give it to you. And doing so is actually really easy. But let me see. I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I just want to kind of illustrate what I'm talking about. All right, so here is if I can get it open. All right. Get that out of there. This is the extended magazine release. And this guy comes installed from the factory, and it kind of looks a little something like that. Replacing it is actually pretty easy. The first thing you do is you get yourself a little Allen screwdriver, a little Allen head tool, screwdriver, whatever. You take this part off, and on the back side here, well, it'd probably be easier if I show you on the competitor itself. So right here, see that groove section? You would just put in a small flathead screwdriver and turn it counterclockwise to unlock it. And when you do that, it'll capture the spring, and then you just take the mag release right out of the frame. And again, installation to reverse removal. Now, when you go to put in your magazine release, you want to put it in from this side. So that's the key thing to remember. You want to remove it from this way, but when you put it back in, you want to put it back in from this side. And then once you get it seated in position, you turn it clockwise to lock it into place, and you're good to go. Easy peasy. So moving on from there, we have your standard customary M 2.0 front grip panel here, which is polymer, is aggressive texture, which I really like. And of course you have your interchangeable backstrap system, which is pretty much standard on most M&Ps, pretty much all your larger M&Ps. It comes with 4 back straps, small, medium, and large. Medium comes, I believe this is the medium one. Yeah, so this is the one that comes installed on the gun from the factory. First thing I did was I put the largest back strap on because, again, I have big hands and a larger back strap just feels more comfortable to me. So there's that. From there, we have our aluminum mag well, which also comes installed from the factory. So now the reason why they have these base plate extensions on the 17-round magazines is so that you can install the magazines with the mag well installed on the gun. That being said, if you try to install a standard 17-shot Smith Wesson M&P magazine with the mag well installed, it's not going to fit. Okay, it's just not going to fit. However, it will fit if you take the magazine well off, which you can do. And simply put, to do that, this tool right here, this right here, you simply would just rotate that counterclockwise until it's facing basically parallel with the bore of the gun, and remove it, and then the mag well just slides right off the front. And essentially you could run this like your standard M&P metal frame, and here's the backstrap tool that you would use to replace this. So if you're not running the mag well, you would essentially put this in and lock it into place like you would do on the standard M&P. So I think that's really good. Part of my first shots video, when I actually bought the gun the first day and I ran it a little bit, I ran it like that. Reason being, this little guy right here can be a bit of a pain in the behind. It is really tight. It is really tight. And admittedly, I struggled with this when I first got it. The instruction manual says that you could use I believe a 5/32 torque head screwdriver to lock and unlock it, but I didn't use a screwdriver. I essentially just used as much elbow grease as I could when I got it lined up in place to just kind of lock it into place, and I just kind of left it as is, which I pretty much intend on doing for at least for the foreseeable future right now, because I don't feel like messing with this guy. So if I had one criticism, this thing right here is hard to manipulate. At least it was hard for me because it was very tight, and it shouldn't be that difficult. Whereas this is pretty much easy peasy. So just wanted to talk about that real quick. And while we're on the subject, let me get my standard M&P 2.0 metal frame here. So this is the standard guy. I'm just going to verify that this particular gun is also clear, right? All right, so this is the magazine for this guy. So let's take a look at the differences real quick. So obviously the first difference is the competitor has a longer barrel. This is a 5-inch barrel. The standard version has a 4.25-inch barrel. Okay, let's look at the slides. So if you're looking at the front, the slide serrations on the standard M&P 2.0 metal frame look slightly different than that of the competitor. You know, even the direction is slightly different as, you know, as how they're cut. Now, don't get me wrong, these slide serrations are actually really good for press checking and so on and so forth. Like, you can really get in there. But the competitor just takes it up a notch. And they also do this by taking away a bit of the mass of the slide, so you have less reciprocating mass. And what does that also mean? That's also going to mean less felt recoil. So that's really good. The Picatinny rail is pretty much the same. Your trigger guard trigger is pretty much the same. This part, you know what I mean, the grips pretty much look the same. Now, I will say this is kind of interesting, and it might just be me. In hand, even though I've looked at the frames and the frames looks virtually identical, this particular gun feels slightly thicker in the hand than this one. In spite of the fact that both of them have the large back straps installed, both of them are running the frames, at least as far as I know, have the same dimensions. Just a little bit of etching, you know, little difference as far as the surface goes. But as far as how they feel in the hand, which is really interesting, this gun feels a little slimmer in the hand than this gun. But that doesn't by no means mean that, you know, the competitor is harder to control than the standard one, because, oh, sorry about that, guys. Like, it really is not. Now, also, too, as you can see here, this is kind of what I meant about the tool here. If you look, it's the same. So you can basically run your competitor just like this and be fine. And if you do that, these magazines will fit in this gun, and you can run those mags in this gun with no problems. So for some of you out there, you may decide to just remove the mag well and, you know, run it without it. So you definitely have that option, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Me personally, I just kind of like the look and the feel of the competitor's mag well, so I'm going to run that for a while. And all right, so I mean, like, as far as the differences go, like I said, they pretty much speak for themselves. Now, as far as what you get out of the box, the M2.0 metal frame, the standard one, basically comes in your standard cardboard Smith Wesson box, and then you have your 4 interchangeable back straps, you have your 2 17-round magazines, your optics plates, and so on and so forth. Whereas the competitor comes with the 4 17-round magazines with the extensions, same amount of grip, interchangeable back straps, optics, mounting solutions, and so on and so forth. So it's largely this. It's very similar across the board. You, for all intents and purposes, just get more with the competitor versus the standard model. All right. So that's just pretty much it for that. So what we're going to do is we're going to head on over to the range. I'm going to just show you a little bit of the competitor in action. I want to show you a little bit of the Smith, of the standard one in action. So you'll see that I'll give you how I feel about it and how it handles on the range. And we're just going to come back over here to the review area, and we're just going to close this first shots video out. So y'all know what to do. Meet me at the range. All right, y'all, what's going on? We're here at the range, and we're going to do the first shots, initial impressions of the Smith Wesson M&P 2.0 metal frame competitor. Just as a baseline, I got my standard M&P metal frame that we're going to compare to it right now. So let's do it. This thing shoots nice, real nice. And real quick, with the mag well not on the competitor, you can use the standard M&P 2.0 9mm magazines in it. Don't believe me, just watch. Outstanding. Let's look at that target. Three mags, all on target, pretty tight at 5 yards. If I had one criticism about the trigger, and this is pretty much indicative of the M&P metal frame series itself, that reset is a little hard to find. But once you get used to it, you'll be all right. All right, let's shoot the standard version now, real quick. Same spot, we're gonna go to 5 yards, just so that way you can see the difference between the two in action.
Ideally, I'd love to get closer to like 1050, like right up the subsonic.
So as you can see, even with the metal frame, it's but one thing is noticeable right away is the lighter slide of the computer. You can really feel the difference. The standard is snappier than the competition version, but hey, they both shoot good. So let's take a pause, load up, and we're gonna do it again. All right, y'all, we about to go again with the Smith Wesson M&P competitor. I made a few changes between, the last shoot and now. So basically, I removed the extended magazine release and I installed the mag well. I don't really need the extended magazine release. I took it off, reason being, when shooting from the weak hand, it kind of gets in the way. I have pretty large hands, so I can hit the magazine release, the standard magazine release, just fine without breaking my grip. All right, so target's at 7 yards. Let's send it. this thing feels great in the hand, y'all. Man, that felt great. Let's check that target. All that right there. And a couple that I missed. But as you can see, I was really just going for speed and fun. Something that you need to be able to do with a competition gun. Well, accuracy too, of course. All right, let's load up and we're gonna do it one last time. All right, y'all, we loaded up. 3 more magazines. Target's back at 7 yards. Let's do this. Y'all, I'm telling you, it runs. Uh-oh. Not sure if it was a light strike or a bad round. Let me see if I can find it. I can't find it, but let's check that target right quick. The result speaks for itself, y'all. Like I said, that last one, I think it was a bad round. But anyway, all in all, so far so good. So let's head back to the review space and close this one out. All right, y'all, welcome back to the review space. So, what did y'all think about the Smith Wesson M&P 2.0 metal frame competitor? I personally really enjoyed it. I mean, it's obvious. Like, I'm trying not to fanboy or gush or whatever the case may be, but I mean, right now, so far, that thing, it runs. Like I said, it's the biggest difference that I've noticed between that, the competitor, and the standard one is the fact that the competitor has a lighter recoil impulse, which is kind of odd, right? You know, because you got a 5-inch barrel versus a 4.25-inch barrel, you know, but again, that's all due to the lightning cuts, you know, the lightning cuts in the slide, you know, all the work that they did. And it's obvious to me, at least, that they put most of the work in the slide. And you know, they just said, well, we're just going to soften the recoil impulse so that way people could just take a basic M&P 2.0 for a metal frame and run with it. So with that being said, my thought process as far as the competitive version goes is they took a gun that was more so tactical duty minded, which is the standard M&P 2.0 metal frame, which is basically this guy. They did some work to it, lengthened the barrel, lightened the reciprocating mass, and then they gave us this guy. So to me, I look at this gun as something that you can definitely run and race with it in competition, hence the name, right? But I also kind of look at this as like a tactical gun. You know, it's almost as if Smith and Wesson took the M&P 2.0 metal frame and Glock 34'd it for all intents and purposes, and just gave it some, you know, some additional features and accoutrements to make this gun really run fast. But you can definitely use this as a tactical duty sidearm, and I think it would be really good in that role, especially when you consider the tritium filled fiber optic front sight. And when I tell you that that sight is very easy to pick up in the dark, it is very easy to pick up in the dark. But I have two, I won't say gripes, but there are two things about this gun that I wish that they did. The first thing is raise suppressor height sights. And, you know, for a gun like this, especially if you're running competition, being able to cope with this with your optic, I think would be very, very helpful and very, very good. You know, just in case you have an issue with your optic, you know, you don't have to worry about trying to take it off. You can just cope with this and keep running with it. And which is also interesting to me because their 10mm line has the raised sight. So now, granted, I think this was designed prior to that. I'm not really 100% sure, but raised sights will really help this gun a lot. The second thing is the trigger reset. Me personally, I would like a more tactile reset. I think the reset is a little bit too soft on this gun. But I could kind of understand why they made it soft. And my guess is that so that you can run the trigger without disturbing the muzzle of the gun too much. You know, that's basically how you're supposed to run the trigger. So maybe that was the thinking behind it. I'm not 100% sure, but I just think for me, it would have been better to have that. Now, their Performance Center 10mm has that. So, and I really enjoy that trigger too. So there is that. But I mean, overall, guys, I really don't have any issues with this gun at all. You know, and I'm definitely going to do a 1,000-round follow-up. I mean, so far I'm about, I want to say about 200-ish rounds. I don't know. I have to look at my paper, but we're a little over 200 rounds. So, you know, 800 rounds to go. And we'll just do a follow-up and see where we stand. You know, I don't anticipate any problems or malfunctions or anything like that, but we'll see. Oh, one last thing before I close out. So if you saw on the range, I did have a round that didn't fire, and I was looking for it and I couldn't find it. I eventually did find the round, and I did notice that the firing pin did strike the primer, but it didn't go off. So I loaded that one round and shot it through the gun right before I left the range, and it fired. So I'm guessing either if the primer was a little too hard or maybe it did a light strike. It didn't look like it did a light strike to me, but again, I'm not going to fault the gun for that. But like I said, we're going to put several hundred rounds through this thing, several hundred more rounds through it, and then we'll just do a follow-up and see where we're at. So, but anyway, I'm going to close it there, guys, gals. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you like the video, please let me know by liking the video, commenting, subscribing, sharing the video. I have some more content on the way for you guys. You know, I have a rival steel frame, and I plan on doing a versus video between my M&P competitor and rival steel frame. Like, I want to do that. Let me know, would y'all want to see a versus video between these two? My thought behind that is simply they're budget-ish minded competition guns. So why not put two budget-minded competition guns together? If I had a Shadow 2, I would throw that into the mix, but I don't have a Shadow 2 right now. Hopefully in the future, I'll be able to get a Shadow 2 so I can throw that into the mix. But I don't know. Let me know down in the comment section if y'all would like to see a rival steel frame versus M&P 2.0 competitor versus video. But anyway, guys, gals, thank you so much for watching. I'm turning y'all loose finally. This is your big homie, the armchair operator, and I'm out and I'm signing off.